Hello accomplices, welcome to my studio. I'm Lynda Norman. I'm a watercolor artist here in British Columbia. Today we're going to spend a bit of time adding some water and some pigment and maybe a few other elements to create a fun little abstract. I've just sprayed my paints, misted them with my plant mister, facial mister that I picked up on, this one I got on Amazon. They also are available at the local craft stores and art stores as well, and they're just called a facial mister. Ideal for wetting your palettes. If you're wetting a bigger surface, larger surface on your paper or on your canvas, ideal. Game changer for sure. I like to wake my paints up. I use Daniel Smith paints. They are consistently high quality, beautifully formulated, and they're made with a gum Arabic. I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but for me, that means that they can stay in my palette. They can dry if I'm not here at my table painting every single day. They can dry for days and weeks sometimes, and then a little misting, sometimes another little misting a few moments later, just wakes them back up again and they're ready to go. So today, with our loose abstract painting, we're going to start with, I'm just going to make sure my brush is clean because I was doing some painting earlier and I wanted to double check that. I'm going to use my hockey brush just to get my page wet, and here I am using some 100% cotton Arches 140-pound rough, and I'm just going to dampen that. I don't want puddles. I just want the water to be soaked in a tiny bit. Even with the 140-pound cotton, if you get an excess of water, I should say, the page will absorb that water and tend to buckle and move around. And sometimes it's hard to paint in those valleys and work through that. So when I sit back, I can see I've got a couple of places where the water hasn't touched the page, and I'm okay with that. I kind of like sometimes how that will allow for just some white to come through and give that extra dimension, because as you know, with watercolor, if you're painting true watercolor, there really isn't a white. You can add gouache, you can add Doc Martens bleed-proof white to bring your whites in. That's always a fun option. And of course today we're not going to be worried about painting a true watercolor because we're going to be adding some other fun elements to it. So I'm going to start, one of my favorite combinations of colors is Mayan dark blue. You can see in the palette, I hope there, that it's just a beautiful gray, deep blue. And I love how if you get the pigment just at the right level of wetness on that wet paper, it will just expand, move around on its own. And so I'm just dabbing in, laying in color on that wet background. No rhyme or reason. Here again is a place where you could do it in the shape of a letter or a number if you were at a loss for something to get that initial color down, but I'm not sure what that would translate to. It doesn't look like much of anything to me. It's just a place, pardon me, for putting the color down. So I'm going to rinse my brush, and while that is still pretty nice and glistening and wet, I'm going to go into my Quinacridone Gold, and that's a video that we'll be doing coming up, just to talk about Quinacridone Gold and the new options for that color, since it's not the original formulation is no longer available. But as I said, that's in the times to come, so we'll work on that. One thing I do love about the Quinacridone Gold is how it will push away other colors. and you can get a beautiful sunny light color, a little bit more intense. A thicker paint will give you that orangey glow. And as watercolor dries, it dries lighter, as we know. So it doesn't hurt to have some nice bits of thicker pigment on the page. Now I kind of like that in there, but I want to maybe just add a bit more of that blue. I'm curious to see where that's going to end up if I add that on top of the gold. And that's something we can use to our abstract advantage, is just, again, with the blue, going back in and just enhancing some of those areas with a bit more of the dark color, and then let it work its way through the moisture on the page. There's not a lot of moisture left on the page. It is drying, but that's fine. Those two colors together, Mayan dark blue, Daniel Smith Mayan dark blue, and Quinacridone gold, to me just create a magic that every time I put them to a page, create something more interesting and different every time. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've got enough color on the page, I'm just going to just lightly touch it with a paper towel, take some of that color out, because I'm going to be adding on top, and I want my patterns that I want to add on top to show. I don't want as much of that blue coming through, and so I'm going to just take just a tiny bit of that away and work it back in just in a little bit of the area. All right, so it's almost like a butterfly wing the way this has come out, and not intentionally. So I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. And I've done one up earlier today, and it's a drier piece. I've tried before, being a little impatient, trying to work on a damper piece of paper, adding different textures and different colors and surfaces. Metallic pens, that kind of thing. It just doesn't work as well on a damp surface, damp paper. So I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to grab the one I did earlier, and which way did we go? It was kind of like an X that way, so we'll do it this way. Now, one of my favorite things to use is this Molotow liquid chrome pen. It is just, well, you'll see in a second once I get it open and going here. It's a little pump action pen, the nib, and when you get it going, you just give it a couple moments to get itself ready to go. The ink, the chrome ink will come out onto the surface here, and I will be able to dip my mark makers into this and add it to my page. Okay, so what I've got at the moment is just a couple of things to make circles, and I just am not too concerned that they're not a solid circle. I like the brokenness of the edges on this, and I'm going to try to add a bit more chrome with different sizes of circles. Because of the way this comes out of the pen, you're a bit limited to I would say, smaller shapes. But I'm going to research, because I do love this chrome look, and I'm going to research and see if there isn't something that is comparable, but will allow for more of the that liquid chrome, that surface to come out. So we're going to try it. Whoops, we'll dip a smaller one in. Oh, that's working nicely. And we'll just get a few more of these little marks on the page. And then what I want to do with this one, I think, is, you can see I've used this for a lot of other surfaces. Because this is quite thin and I won't get the pen on there, I'm going to try to get some of that chrome to come out on the surface of that. We'll see if that works. Oh, there we come. Yeah, it's coming out now. And we'll see if we can get a bit of a mark happening with this. We'll see how that goes. Let's put that one right over here. And that kind of gave us a bit of a circle. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold that down there. And once I get this pen, they're a bit tricky, but once they get going, they will be quite fun. I'm going to see if that helped a little bit and give us a sort of an idea. Because it's abstract, we for this particular one, I don't want complete whole shapes. Just the indication of some of the shapes is quite enough for me. I'm going to move my jar lid, my ring, over just slightly, and see. I can't really see what I'm doing on that side, but that's kind of the beauty of being abstract. I like the little surprises, right, that can come along. There we go. I'm happy with that. I think what I'd like also to do is to take a, well, I don't know, something with a straight edge. And I'm just going to see if I can't get some lines happening here. Everything is just just up to your imagination. But I've kind of connected that. It's to me a combination of just loose abstract shapes, a little bit of geometric shapes, and my silver, somehow I've splattered it off the end of my pen, and I love that. I'm going to take that little bit, and I'm going to, here's a wooden fork that came out of a fast food container, and I'm just going to pull that through that little dot and see how that it's sort of like little stars radiating. Now, having done that, I just thought I would try this. Let's see how we have some fun with that. I kind of just love how those dots are just kind of there randomly. So now I have to be careful because those are wet, and I like them like that. I'm going to leave them like that, but I want to go in now with a black pen. This is a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, and it has a brush tip on it, so it's going to be a little more flexible than one of the finer tipped marker pens. And I'm going to try, keeping away from the wet silver, I'm going to go in now with just another shape, another size. And I'm just going to add a few extra circle shapes. Almost complete. And for fun, I will, I just want to connect the bottom of that circle across, and I'll do another short line right there. And I think just for balance, I would like to put a black something more on this side of the page. And this fellow, I think that I just want to extend him just a tiny bit more. I'm liking where this is going. Let's take a smaller piece for a straight edge. I'm not well known for making straight lines. So I'm going to, I just want to see sort of where things have intersected in the past. I don't want to imitate or mimic that, but I do want to keep maybe a bit of a theme. I know that's probably not what abstract is necessarily all about, but for me, art is a lot about making it as you go. And I'm just going to add, I just want a smaller circle just at the bottom of that, and I'm just thinking of how I can make that happen. I think this is probably a nice way to do that. Just a small bottle, and I didn't go all the way around, I just hinted at that shape. I love the combination of the loose organic shape of the paint in the background, and then the more geometric metallic and black lines on the surface of it. And I mean, the sky's the limit. You could go as far as you wanted to with this. I kind of like it like that. I've often been told that some of my paintings don't look finished. I kind of like that. I like leaving a little bit to the imagination, letting the viewer decide where this might take them. To me, that encourages the creative mind to go further. Don't just take for granted, or to what you see as face value. Go a little further. What would you do? If I can put something forward that sparks your creativity, that's a win-win, I think. So go ahead, get some color down, get some pens, get some surface enhancers. You could use texture, you could use gouache, you could spatter with other things. I'm happy with the black and the silver. I just love how that is so opposed to what's organic on the page. So I would just say, once you get your color down, have some fun with it. We've worked in the past with following the shapes that the watercolor has left behind. This is kind of opposite of that. We're kind of ignoring that for the time being and getting those geometric things happening. I just have so much fun with these, and because it's a smaller size, this will fit nicely into a 5x7 frame. Great on a wall. You could do a grouping of them. I've got another one here that I haven't added the black to yet, with just the silver in it. But you could do a little grouping on a wall with your background colors. Choose the colors you like, and above all, have fun. Thanks for joining me today, accomplices. If you like what you've seen, subscribe to my channel, follow my website, Bandry Studio, that's BANDRAOI studio.com, or check out our members area.